Hi there, it's October 9th and we're getting ready finally to dew ret our flats. Now dew retting is typically done in our area of Pennsylvania by the Germans. So we're going to show you how to lay it out. It's a process that can take from anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks depending on your climate conditions, the soil conditions. The idea is that we're going to lay out the flats in flat rows, spread it apart so you can actually see the grass coming up through the flats. Every week we're going to come back and turn the flats, and each week we will return to see the changes that are happening to the flats. It's the dew in the morning that actually helps stimulate the growth of the bacteria. It's the bacteria that actually eats the pectin, the glue that binds the flat's fibers to the stalk. And so by laying the flats on the grass, we're going to be stimulating the growth of bacteria to eat that pectin and release the fibers. Between the rows, we're going to have a pathway so there you can actually walk between the rows and turn the flats. We don't have a lot of flats this year, as you know, but we're going to be using enough to show the basic process. So let's get started. Remember that we've rippled our flat seed, so the seed pods are going to be left for the next year. You simply lay the flats out, spread it apart. You don't want large clumps of flats. You want it evenly spread out so that the flats will ret evenly. And remember that the term ret basically means to rot. It's simply another form of the word to rot. So we've laid out that flats. We're going to work our way out. You see how I spread it out. You can take each bundle this way and spread it out. We keep the roots together. Today I have the roots at the lower end and the tips of the stalks at the other end. Those are our flats turkeys behind me. I see the boys are going to come down. They love to hassle me. Hello, guys. Yes, yes, yes. They always have an editorial comment about things. This is not bad in terms of time and effort when you only have a small amount of flats like we have today. But when you grow half an acre, you're dealing with hundreds of pounds of straw, and it can take a long time to set out your flats, and even longer or just as long to turn it. So now I'm starting the second row. Leave 18, 20, 24 inches between the rows so you'll have enough space to walk between them and turn the flats. Typically, when flats is on schedule and you're harvesting the flats in mid to late June, early July, that's also the time that we typically cut our hay. And so often we lay the flats on the cut or mown hay field so the grass is low, and as we'll see over the coming weeks, as the grass, in this case grass or the hay, would grow back, it simply starts to raise up the flats with it. Here's the second row. We'll start a third row here. Again, about 18, 20, 24 inches between the rows, spread thinly enough so you can see the grass below it. When I talked about climate conditions, there is an issue of rain. Rain can actually hasten the retting process. Dryness, especially if you have no dew in the morning. There certainly are many parts of the country that may not have dew, especially in these drought conditions that many of the southern and southwestern states are facing. You may not have dew. That could also prolong the retting process. And it's possible, since it's already October, that we may actually go into some snow, which will also affect the retting process. Typically, of course, that's not an issue. Also, the quality of the soil, the type of soil, whether it's limestone soil, in our case we have shale soil, that will also affect the speed and the quality of the retting. Over time, what we will expect to see is a graying or silvering of the color of the flats from the outsides in towards the middle. We will also notice that when we bend the flats, the stalk will become brittle, increasingly brittle, as the retting process continues. And as we start to break a flat straw, the fibers will slowly begin over time to separate from the inner core. So we have 3 rows of dew retting flats. As I said, each week for the next several weeks, maybe 3 to 6 weeks, we'll come out, see how it's doing, we'll turn it over, and we'll watch the dew retting process. So stay tuned. It's been a week since we laid out the flats to dew ret, so let's see what we've got. The flats is turning the traditional silver gray color that you expect from dew retting. However, when I break the plant, the glue, the pectin that binds the fibers to the stalk, has not completely disintegrated. You can tell it's starting, but it doesn't really break. The stalk is sort of mushy. The fibers do not separate from the stalk. So we're not there yet. In fact, I would say we're not even halfway there yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the flats over. And to do that, you simply bend over. It's like picking strawberries here, because I have to put strawberries on my knees, because I can't, and then if I had a lot of this to do, I would end up on my knees as well. What you want to do is just flip it over. Now see, for some reason, this flats I'm working with now is still tannish brown. It hasn't started to change, but the flats next to it is gray, so go figure. Go figure is what we've been doing a lot of this year with our flats crop. It explains so much. We go back and do the second row. Again, the turning provides even retting. And also it pits the flats up out of the grass. If you don't turn it, what you'll see is that the grass or weeds, whatever you've got, actually grows through the flats and makes it very, very difficult to work with, because you end up almost ripping the flats out of the grass and weeds. We go back for the short stack up here. We've had a little rain since last week. It's been about half sunny, half showers off and on, and that will affect the rate of retting. So, there you have it. We've turned the flats, we've checked it, and we'll come back next week to see what 7 more days will bring. What you'll see is that the fibers are easily separating from the stalk. Now, you'll also notice that some of the flats is completely silver gray, others is still sort of a tan color. So let's check this out and see how it is. You don't have to take much, just a few stalks. Did you hear that? It's not quite as snappy, but what you'll see is a couple things. The fibers are separating. These, however, are more of a blonde color, but it's still ready. So what we have is a conundrum. We have some flats that is completely gray, and some flats that is sort of a tannish color, blonde, all retted, all ready to go. So we are done. This is the end of the dew retting process, when you can actually separate the fibers from the stalk. From this point, you can store the flats indefinitely in a dry place in the barn or someplace like that. But now it's ready to be processed, the breaking, scutching, and combing. But this is the key to flats success, is the ability to appropriately and adequately ret your flats, whether it's dew retting or water retting. So this is the end of this part of our series of flats processing. From now, we go right to the tools. I've never had a year where I could put my entire dew-retted crop of flats on my shoulder at one time, and I hope we never have a year like this again. Take care, campers. Happy flatsing.